Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for joining us. The Vice President will give brief remarks, and then he'll take a few questions.
Now's not the time for petty politics. This is a national emergency. Our government should be doing everything possible to protect people's health and well-being. And the good news is the U.S. government took important action last week, passing into law a $2 trillion CARES Act. It was the namesake of the remarkable feat of bipartisanship that Nancy and Schumer and Democrats made sure it provided reassurances and relief for American workers. But now President Trump has to make sure it's implemented swiftly, transparently, and effectively. Yesterday, the Trump administration suggested that I should call the president and offer to help.
Joe Biden's campaign came out with a statement today saying that Biden would be.
Did he write the statement, or did some PR person write it?
As far as I know, the campaign was wide awake, sir, and they sent out a statement that Joe Biden would be open to having a phone call with you to talk about the coronavirus pandemic.
That's okay, sure.
Would you take his call?
Absolutely. If he'd like to call, I'd absolutely take his call. Okay? You could tell him. All right?
The president is welcome to adopt every single thing I suggested he thought was worthwhile.
We just heard President Trump there talking about you at his press conference yesterday, but his team also said this week that he'd be open to taking a phone call from you. Has that phone call happened? And if it does, what's the most important thing you want to tell him to do right now?
Well, it hadn't happened. I'm happy to talk to him, and I just tell him what we found is important to do when we went through not as bad, but a similar crisis, and that is to you have to move swiftly, and we have to move more rapidly. I complimented him on dealing with China. Well, 45 nations had already moved to keep block China's personnel from being able to come to the United States before the president moved. But neither should we panic or fall back on xenophobia. Labeling COVID-19 a foreign virus, banning all travel from Europe or any other part of the world, it will not stop it.
The president has said many times now he's worried that the cure is going to be worse than disease. Does that concern you at all?
Well, the public health concerns can be grave.
Are you at all concerned, as Trump said, that we cannot let the cure be worse than the problem itself?
We have to take care of the cure. That will make the problem worse no matter what.
Your campaign videos have been quite tough on the president. You say his failures, his incompetence are going to cost lives. Is that what's happening now?
We have to finally get some data how this coronavirus is really hurting. So we know where to get what we have to get and get it quickly.
Back in 2014, President Obama's Department of Homeland Security warned that a devastating pandemic was the highest homeland security risk from a natural cause. Should your administration have done more to prepare?
Well, we did a lot to prepare, as you know, George. See when things were coming, how things were moving. We put people in China. We did a whole lot of things. These viruses, George, they have no borders. You can't build a wall. You can't have, people at the border trying to stop it. And but I think whatever the science says is what we should do. My point is that I think you just got to follow the science. Listen to the experts. Listen to the Faucis of the world. And if that's the case, it's the case. But we cannot let this. We've never allowed any crisis from the Civil War straight through to the pandemic of 17, all the way around 16. We have never let our democracy take second fiddle.
The first payments will be direct deposit into taxpayers' account. And as the president said, last night the president authorized me to say that anybody that has Social Security recipients won't need to file a new tax return, and we'll have that. If we don't have your direct deposit information, we'll be putting up a web portal so that you can put that up. It is a very large priority. The president has made clear we want to get this money quickly into your hands. We don't want to send checks. In this environment, we don't want people to get checks. We want to put money directly into their account.
No American should have to wait a single minute so Donald Trump can put his signature on a physical check. It isn't about him. It's about families that need the cash now. Payments should be electronically made or via prepaid debit card. I was in charge of administering the $800 billion Recovery Act. So I understand that the devil is in the details. It's about follow through. The CARES Act provides more money to help people. Now, how do we make sure it gets to those people as quickly as possible?
When Obama sent out these checks, it took months and months and months. I am assuring the American public they need the money now. What we're going to do is, again, if we have your information, you'll get it within 2 weeks.
You asked the third part of your question related to whether or not, what was the third part of your question, actually? You asked three pieces.
Sorry, it was.
Americans are terrified. What is your message to them?
We have to do at least several things. One, we have to depend on what the president's going to do right now. And first of all, he has to wait till the cases before anything happens. Look, the whole idea is he's got to get in place things that were shortages of. I've been through this before. We went through it in dealing with previous crises, including economic crises.
Mr. Vice President, I got to be honest with you. Over the last 2 weeks or so, I've had a lot of people ask me online every single day, where is Joe Biden?
I was the first one to call for the president way back and insist. I could get that done. No one up here has ever dealt internationally with any of these world leaders. I'm the only one that has. The best I can do from my position is to lay out what I think should be done, how to do it, and when it's not being done, say why. The experts say this is what we should be doing. Let's do it. Let's do it. And if we had moved quicker, we wouldn't be this far in the hole. I insisted that I didn't insist. I suggested that we should have people in China at the outset of this event. And when it all started in Luhan province. And what happened? We did not insist that they go into the areas we wanted to. So I just, that's all I can do.
How quickly, in that matter, can you reassemble the pandemic team that the president got rid of?
Very quickly. Very quickly. It could be done very quickly. And that's what my team is talking about right now. How will we do that? Well, thanks for giving me the time.
Thank you.
So they don't wonder where I am.
Now I know.
They're really showing themselves to do really well. Come on, man.